What if I told you that you're living as if you have two lives, one that you're living now, and another that you'll start living when the time is right? Do you know someone who always talks about their dreams, but never does anything to make them come true? That person who says they'll start going to the gym next Monday, who says they'll write that book when they have more time, who says they'll start that personal project when things calm down, who says they'll learn that new skill next month. Perhaps that person is you, and the craziest thing is that you know exactly what you need to do. You have clarity about your goals. You've already researched, planned, and made a to-do list. You know you need to study, train, work on the project, and spend time with your family. But when the time comes to do it, you put it off. I'll start tomorrow. I'll focus on Monday. Next month I'll really dedicate myself. And the days turned into weeks. The weeks turned into months. The months turned into years. And you remain in the same place, with the same unfulfilled dreams, making the same empty promises to yourself. There is a Japanese philosophy called Ichigo Ichie, which means a time, an encounter, or rather, this moment, only once in a lifetime. Japanese masters used this concept in tea ceremonies to remind people that that encounter, that moment was unique and unrepeatable. Even if you were to perform the same ceremony tomorrow, it wouldn't be the same moment. That specific instant had died forever. Now apply this to your life. That workout you skipped today, you'll never get to do it again. That study session you put off, that lost time will never come back. That conversation with your child that you cut short because you were busy, that moment is gone. And the worst part is, your brain tricks you every day into believing that there's always tomorrow. But neuroscience shows that the more you postpone something, the stronger the neural circuit for procrastination becomes. You literally train your brain to postpone. Today I'm going to tell you the story of a man named Dylan, a guy who had everything going for him, who knew exactly what he needed to do, but who spent years of his life living in an illusion called, "I'll start tomorrow." Until one day he realized that tomorrow is the biggest lie you can tell yourself. But before we continue, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, leave a like and comment below with something you've been putting off for months. It could be a project, a workout, a study session, a difficult conversation, something you know you need to do, but keep putting off. I read the comments and I know that many people here are in the same situation Dylan was in, and this video might be the push you need. Thank you so much for being here. Now let's get to the story. Chapter 1. The Man Who Lived in the After. Dylan was 29 years old and living in a cruel cycle of broken promises. He wasn't a failure. In fact, he was intelligent, talented, and full of potential. Everyone who knew him said, "This guy is going places." But Dylan wasn't going anywhere, because he lived in the future. He worked in an accounting office, not because he liked it, but because it paid the bills while he worked on his personal project. What personal project? A finance app he had envisioned 3 years ago. He had the complete concept in his head. He had researched the market. He had even sketched the main screens. But the code, zero. Because he always decided to really start on the weekend. Dylan also had a dream of losing weight and getting in shape. He weighed 95 kilos and wanted to get down to 75. He had a gym membership that he had been paying for 8 months, but he had only been there 4 times, because next Monday he was going to get serious. And there was more. Dylan wanted to learn Japanese. He had bought the complete course, downloaded the apps, and gathered the materials. He attended the first lesson with enthusiasm, and he never opened it again. Because when work calmed down, he would dedicate himself to it. On top of all that, Dylan was in a 4-year relationship with a woman named Jessica, a patient, understanding woman who truly loved him. But she was tired of dating a ghost, because Dylan was always present, but never really present. When they had dinner together, he was on his cell phone. When she tried to talk about the future, he would say, "Let's talk about that later." When she suggested doing something different on the weekend, he would say, "I'm tired, we'll do it next weekend." And the worst part, Dylan had a 58-year-old father who lived alone on the other side of town, a widower for 5 years, a quiet, lonely man who called his son once a week. "Hi son, how are you?" I was wondering if you'd like to come have lunch here on Sunday. Dad, I can't do it this Sunday. I have some things to take care of. We'll schedule something for next week. But next week never came, because there was always something more urgent, or actually something easier to do, like lying on the couch watching TV series. Chapter 2. The alarm clock that never worked. Dylan's life was governed by a vicious cycle. Sunday night he made promises. Monday I'll wake up early. I'll train before work. I'll work on the app after hours. I'll study Japanese before bed. This week will be different. He even set his alarm clock for 6 a.m. He laid out his workout clothes on the chair. He left his laptop open on the table with the project file. Monday, 6 a.m., the alarm clock rang. Dylan would hang up and think, just 10 more minutes, and those 10 minutes would turn into 40. He'd wake up late, skip his workout, drink coffee in a rush, and go to work stressed out. At work, he spent the entire day switching between tasks. He checked his email. He replied to messages. He fiddled with his cell phone. He looked at social media. He pretended he was being productive, but deep down, he was just killing time. At 6 p.m., he would return home. He would sit on the sofa just to rest for 5 minutes before starting to work on the project. He would pick up his cell phone. He would open YouTube. I'm just going to watch a quick video. 2 videos turned into 10. 10 turned into 20. When he looked at the clock, it was already 10 p.m. Damn, it's already late. I'll start earlier tomorrow. Tomorrow will be different. But tomorrow was the same. And the day after tomorrow too. And the whole month as well. And you know what hurt the most? Dylan, you knew he wasn't ignorant. He wasn't stupid. He knew he was wasting his life. But there was something in his brain that was blocking action. Something that made the couch seem more appealing than the project. That made the TV series seem more important than the training. That made endless scrolling through Instagram seem more urgent than calling his dad. This something is called present bias, and he was destroying Dylan's life without him realizing it. Chapter 3. The turning point. It was a Friday night. Dylan was on the couch, doing exactly what you'd imagine, watching a series on Netflix with a bag of chips in his hand. Jessica arrived home from work, looked at him, and sighed. That tired sigh of someone who has tried 1,000 times and can't take it anymore. Dylan, we need to talk. He paused the series. About what? She sat in the chair opposite him, not on the sofa next to him. That was already a sign. Do you remember when we started dating? Of course I remember. You were different. You were full of plans, dreams, and energy. You talked about the app with such enthusiasm that I believed you were going to change the world. You talked about traveling with me, building a life together, and being a better person. She paused. But it's been 4 years, Dylan, and you're still in the same job you hate. The app is still stuck on the same draft screen. You're still the same weight. You're still putting everything off. Dylan felt a tightness in his chest. Jessica, I know I've been putting things off, but some things? She interrupted. Dylan, you postpone training. You postpone the project. You postpone visiting your father. You even postpone conversations with me. When was the last time we had a real conversation without you being on your phone? Silence. I can't stand dating a promise anymore, Dylan. I can't stand dating an I'll do it tomorrow anymore. I want to date someone who... He does. Someone who is present. Someone who is alive. Her words hit like bricks. So you're breaking up with me? Jessica remained silent for a long moment. I don't know. I only know that if nothing changes, we have no future. Because I'm not going to spend the rest of my life waiting for you to finally start living. She got up and went to her room. Dylan sat there alone. The show paused, a bag of chips in his hand. And for the first time in a long time, he really looked at himself. He was 29 years old. And what did he have to show for it? A mediocre job, an out-of-shape body, a project that only existed in his head, a relationship on the verge of ending, and a father he couldn't even remember the last time he'd seen. What am I doing with my life? Chapter 4. The Meeting with the Sensei. On Saturday morning, Dylan woke up with an unbearable weight on his chest. He knew he needed to change. But how? He didn't need any more information. He had already read books on productivity. He had already watched videos on motivation. He had already downloaded time management apps. Nothing worked. Because the problem wasn't a lack of knowledge, it was a lack of action. He picked up his cell phone and scrolled through his contacts aimlessly, until he saw a name he hadn't seen in months: Kenji Nakamura. Kenji was a 68-year-old Japanese man who had mentored Dylan years before when he took a programming course. A wise, calm man who had the energy of someone who had lived a lot and learned even more. Without thinking much, Dylan sent a message. "Sensei Kenji, it's Dylan. It's been a while since we last talked. Do you have some time to grab a coffee?" The reply came in 5 minutes. "Sure, Dylan-san. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Park Cafeteria. See you there." Sunday morning, Dylan was sitting at a small table outside the coffee shop when Kenji arrived. The man hadn't changed at all. Same upright posture, same calm steps, same gentle smile. "Dylan-san, it's been a long time." They greeted each other and sat down. Kenji ordered green tea, Dylan ordered coffee. "So," Kenji began, "what brings you here?" Dylan didn't know where to begin, so he poured it all out. The job he hated, the project that never got off the ground, the body he neglected, the relationship that was ending, the neglectful father. Kenji listened to everything in silence without interrupting, only nodding occasionally. When Dylan finished, Kenji asked, "And do you know what you need to do to change that?" I know exactly. I need to work on the project every day. I need to train. I need to study. I need to be there for Jessica. I need to visit my father." "Then why don't you do it?" I don't know. I always put it off. I always think tomorrow will be easier, but tomorrow comes and I do the same thing." Kenji took a sip of his tea and remained silent for a moment. Then he said, "Dylan-san, do you know the concept of Ichigo Ichie?" "No." "It's an expression that comes from the tea ceremony. It means a time, an encounter. The idea is that each moment is unique and unrepeatable. Even if you have tea with me tomorrow, it won't be this moment. This moment here now will die when we finish this conversation, and it will never exist again." Dylan frowned. "But what does that have to do with procrastination?" Kenji smiled. "Everything, because you live as if you have infinite time, as if today's training could be done tomorrow without consequence, as if the project could wait another week, as if your father would always be available when you finally decided to visit him." He leaned forward. "But the truth, Dylan-san, is that you only have today, this moment, now. And when you procrastinate, you're not just postponing a task, you're killing a moment that will never come back." The words hung in the air. "Let me ask you a question," Kenji continued. "How many training sessions have you missed in the last 3 years?" Dylan thought. "I don't know, hundreds. And how many moments with Jessica did you waste while scrolling on your phone?" "Many. And how many weekends could you have spent with your father?" Dylan felt a knot in his throat. "Each of those moments is dead, Dylan-san, and you'll never be able to relive them, no matter how much money you earn, no matter how successful you are in the future. Those moments have been buried in the cemetery of 'I'll do it later.'" Dylan looked down. "So I wasted my life?" "No. You wasted some years, but you still have today. The question is, what are you going to do with it?" Chapter 5. The Neuroscience of Procrastination. Kenji asked for more tea. Dylan was still processing everything he had heard. "Dylan-san, let me explain what's happening in your brain when you procrastinate. This will help you understand why it's so difficult to change. Your brain has 2 main parts that compete for your attention. The first is the limbic system. It's the ancient primitive part that seeks immediate pleasure and avoids discomfort. When you think about sitting on the couch and watching a series, this part of the brain shouts, "Yes, that's good, let's do it." The second part is the prefrontal cortex. It's the rational part, the one that thinks long-term, understands consequences, and plans for the future. When you think about working on a project or training, this part says, "This is important, let's do this." Dylan was listening intently. "The problem," Kenji continued, "is that the limbic system is much stronger than the prefrontal cortex because it evolved first. It's fast, emotional, powerful. The prefrontal cortex is slow, rational, weak. So when the two compete, the limbic system usually wins. That's why even knowing you need to work on the project, you choose the series. Immediate pleasure trumps future benefit. Always. Dylan nodded. So I'm doomed. My brain will always sabotage me? No, because there is a way to win this battle, but it's not the way you think. Kenji took another sip of tea. Most people try to win through willpower. They wake up on Monday full of motivation and try to force the prefrontal cortex to dominate the limbic system. But willpower is a limited resource. It runs out throughout the day, and when it does, the limbic system takes control again. So what is the solution? The solution is not to fight the limbic system. It's to reprogram it. And the only way to do that is through something called neuroplasticity. You create new neural circuits through repetition, and when those circuits become strong enough, the behavior becomes automatic. You no longer need willpower because your brain has changed. Dylan frowned. But doesn't that take years? No, it can take as little as 66 days to create a habit, but there's a secret here that nobody tells you. You can't try to create several habits at once because each one drains willpower. You need to start with one, just one, so small that the limbic system won't resist. Like what? Like writing one line of code a day, doing one push-up a day, studying one Japanese word a day. So ridiculously small that you can't come up with an excuse not to do it. Dylan laughed. But one line of code isn't going to make my app a reality. No, but it will do something much more important. It will create the habit of sitting down at the computer and opening the project. And once that habit is established, you will naturally do more. Because doing something is always easier than starting to do it. Chapter 6. The 2-minute system. Kenji took a napkin and wrote, "The 2-minute rule." This is based on a technique created by a writer named James Clear. The idea is simple. Any new habit should take less than 2 minutes to do. It's not about doing a little. It's about to start. He continued, "Your brain resists starting because it sees the whole task. You think working on the project and your brain visualizes hours sitting and programming. That activates resistance. But if you think opening the project file, that's only 2 minutes. There's no time for the brain to build resistance. And here's how it works. You commit to doing only the first 2 minutes, opening the project, that's it. If after 2 minutes you want to stop, you can stop. No guilt. Dylan was beginning to understand. And generally, I don't want to stop, right? Exactly, because the hardest part is always starting. Once you've started, momentum carries you. It's basic physics. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. Kenji wrote more things on the napkin. Toe train, it's like putting on workout clothes. It only takes 2 minutes, and working on the project, it's the same as opening the file. Study Japanese, it's the same as opening the app. Call your father, it's the same as dialing the number. You see, it's not about completing the task, it's about reducing the initial resistance. And when the resistance is low, the action happens. Dylan looked at the napkin. That made sense. But what if I really stop after 2 minutes? No problem, because you've developed the habit of starting. And starting is everything, because today you did 2 minutes. Tomorrow, maybe you'll do 5. The day after tomorrow, 10. In 2 weeks, you won't even be counting the time anymore because you'll be immersed in the activity. Chapter 7. The truth about motivation. Let me tell you something that nobody talks about regarding motivation, Kenji said, leaning forward. Most people wait to feel motivated to act. They wait for that magical day when they'll wake up full of energy, wanting to do everything. And then when that day doesn't come, they do nothing. But motivation doesn't work that way. Motivation doesn't come before action, it comes after. Dylan was confused. What do you mean? It's basic neuroscience. When you take action, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine generates pleasure. Pleasure generates motivation. So the real sequence is action generates dopamine. Dopamine generates motivation, and motivation generates more action. Most people expect motivation generates action, but that never happens because motivation needs action to exist. So I have to act without motivation? Exactly. You need to act. Especially when you're not motivated, because that's when you create motivation. Think about training. You never want to go, but when you go, when you finish, you feel good, and that feeling motivates you to go again. Kenji continued, "That's why those 2 minutes are so important, because you don't need motivation to do 2 minutes, you just need to do it. And when you do it, the motivation appears." Dylan was beginning to see his life from a completely different angle. He had spent years waiting for the right day, the right mood, the right motivation, and none of that was going to come, because he needed to create those things through action. "But there's one thing I still don't understand," Dylan said. "Why can I be disciplined in some areas, like at work, but I can't be disciplined with my personal goals?" Kenji smiled. "Good question, and the answer will surprise you. You're disciplined at work because there's an immediate consequence if you're not. Your boss will complain, you could be fired, so the limbic system detects a threat and forces you to act. But what about a personal project? There are no immediate consequences. If you don't work on it today, nothing bad happens today. The problem only appears in 5 years when you look back and realize you wasted time. But the limbic system can't see 5 years into the future. It only sees today. So how do I create immediate consequences? You don't create consequences. You create them. Reward immediate. And the reward doesn't have to be external. It can be internal. The feeling of having accomplished something, of not having broken the streak, of being the person who does what they say they're going to do. Chapter 8. The 30-Day Challenge. Kenji looked at his watch. They had already been there for almost 2 hours. "Dylan-san, I'm going to make you an offer, a 30-day challenge." "What kind of challenge?" "You will choose one thing, just one. And you're going to do it every day for 30 days, no exceptions. It can be ridiculously small, but it has to be every single day." Dylan thought. "Like working on the project?" "That's possible, but be more specific. Work on the project is vague. Open the project file and write a line of code is specific." Dylan picked up his phone and started taking notes. "Okay, so open the project file and write at least 1 line of code every day for 30 days. "Perfect. Now tell me, can you do this even on bad days, even when you're tired?" "1 line of code? Yes, I can." "Great, because here's the secret. You're not building an app in those 30 days. You're building identity. You're transforming from a person who has a project into a person who works on the project every day. And when identity changes, behavior follows." Kenji wrote on the napkin, "Identity equals behavior, which is equal to results." Most people try to change the results directly. "I want to lose 20 kilos. But the result doesn't create a habit. Identity does. When you see yourself as a person who trains, training becomes natural. It's no longer something you do, he does, it's something you and. Dylan was absorbing it all like a sponge. "And there's one more thing," Kenji said. "During these 30 days, you're going to stumble. There will be a day when you just don't do it. And when that happens, you'll want to give up, because your brain will say, 'You broke the sequence, there's no point in continuing.' But that's a lie. Stumbling isn't failing. Failing is not getting up after stumbling. So if you lose one day, you don't lose the next, because 2 lost days become a pattern. 1 lost day is just a stumble. And remember, Ichigo Ichie, every day is unique. The day you lost is dead, but today is still alive, and it is today that you act." Chapter 9. The First Day. Dylan returned home that Sunday with a different feeling in his chest. It wasn't motivation, it was something more solid. It was clarity. He went into the apartment. Jessica was in the living room reading. He sat down next to her. "Jess, I need to apologize." She looked at him, surprised. "You were right. I've been living on autopilot, putting everything off, putting us off, and I don't want to do that anymore." "Dylan, I'm not going to promise you that I'll change overnight, because I know it won't be like that. But I will promise you one thing. From today on, every day I will work on my project, even if it's just 1 line of code. And every day I will be there for you, even if it's just for 10 minutes without my cell phone." Jessica was silent for a moment. Then she said, her voice breaking, "I don't need grand promises, Dylan. I just need you to be here, really. I'll be there." They stood there in silence, just holding hands, and for the first time in months, Dylan felt truly present in that moment, not thinking about work, not thinking about the future, just there. Ichigo Ichie, this moment, just once in a lifetime. That night at 9 p.m., Dylan sat down at his computer. He opened the project file that had been closed for weeks. The code was half finished, full of comments like, "Finish this later." He took a deep breath. Just one line. And he wrote, one line, a simple function that defined a variable. It seemed ridiculous, but he had done it. Day 1, he picked up his cell phone and texted Kenji. Day 1, one line written. The reply came in seconds. "Excellent, Dylan-san. Don't break the chain. See you on the 30th. The first 3 days were easy. Dylan was energized by the conversation with Kenji, by the promise to Jessica. He opened the project every day, wrote a few lines, sometimes even spending over an hour programming. On day 4, his motivation began to wane. He arrived home from work, exhausted. He sat on the sofa. His brain screamed, "Not today, just today. You can make up for it tomorrow." But he remembered what Kenji had said. You don't need motivation to do 2 minutes. He got up, went to the computer, opened the file. Just one line. He wrote one line and closed it. He wasn't inspired. He wasn't productive. But he had accomplished it. He is 5, he is 6, he is 7. A full week, he texted Kenji, 7 days I didn't break. You're building something bigger than an app, Dylan-san. You're building discipline. Day 12. Dylan arrived home around midnight. It had been a hellish day at work, meeting after meeting. He was exhausted. All he wanted was to sleep. He was already lying in bed when he remembered. Damn, the project. He looked at the clock. 11:47 p.m. It was 13 minutes to midnight. Part of him thought, leave it for tomorrow, you're tired, one day won't make a difference. But another part of him, a new part that was growing, said, get up, do it, now. He got up, went to the computer in his pajamas, opened the project. He wrote 3 lines, he saved it, he closed it. 11:55 p.m. He went back to bed with a smile on his face because he had won. He hadn't won against tiredness, he had won against the voice that said, tomorrow. Day 18, Saturday. Dylan woke up with no commitments. He could sleep in, stay on the couch, do nothing. But by 9 a.m. he was already in front of the computer, not because I needed him to, but because he wanted to. The habit had begun to take root. He worked 2 hours on the project that Saturday, not out of discipline, but because he was interested, because the momentum had caught on. Jessica saw him working and smiled. She didn't say anything. She just smiled, because she saw the change happening. Chapter 10. The First Fall, Day 23. Dylan had gone to a barbecue with friends. He drank more than he should have. He got home at 1 a.m. completely drunk. He fell onto the bed and passed out. He woke up the next morning with a headache and a horrible feeling in his stomach. And it wasn't just a hangover. It was the realization that he had broken the streak. 23 days, and he had ruined everything. He picked up his cell phone and checked the time. 11 a.m. The day had already begun, but he hadn't worked on the project. The voice of resignation came out loud. You're broken. It's no use anymore. Start again on Monday. But then he remembered what Kenji had said. Stumbling isn't failing. Failing is not getting up after stumbling. He got up, even though his headache was pounding. He drank some water. He went to the computer. He opened the project, and he wrote a line. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't ideal, but he had risen. He texted Kenji, I broke the streak yesterday, but today I'm back. The reply came, you didn't break, Dylan-san. You tripped, and you got up. That's it. Wabi-sabi beauty in imperfection. Continue. Day 30. The final day of the challenge arrived. Dylan was different. There were no drastic physical changes. I still weighed the same 95 kilos. The app wasn't ready yet, but something had changed. He had become someone who did what he promised. That day he went to the coffee shop to meet Kenji again. The sensei was already there with the green tea in his hand. Dylan-san, 30 days. You did it. I did it. And you were right. It's not about the app. It's about who I became by doing it. Kenji smiled. And who have you become? Someone who doesn't procrastinate anymore. Someone who takes action, even when they're not motivated, even when things are difficult. Excellent. Now what? Now I'm adding another habit. Exercise. 2 minutes a day. Just getting dressed and doing a push-up. Kenji nodded. You've learned, and now I'm going to teach you the last principle. And. It's the Japanese concept of empty space, of pause, of interval. Life isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters and leaving space for the rest. He continued, You are learning how to act, but don't forget to be being present with Jessica, being present with your father, being present with yourself. Because what good is building an empire if you're not there to appreciate it? Dylan felt those words resonate deeply with him. By the way, Kenji said, when was the last time you visited your father? Dylan swallowed hard. It's been about 3 months. How old is he? 58. And you think you'll have him forever? Silence. Dylan-san, every meeting with your father is Ichigo Ichie. You don't know if you'll have another one, and if you don't, you'll regret postponing it. Action isn't just about productivity, it's about presence. Call him, today. Dylan left the coffee shop with a heavy heart. He picked up his cell phone and looked at his father's name in the contact list. The last time they had spoken was... He couldn't even remember. He dialed. 3 taps. Hello? The father's voice was the same, tired but warm. Hi, Dad, it's Dylan. Dylan, son, what a surprise. Are you all right? Okay, Dad, I was wondering if you'd like to have lunch with me tomorrow at my house. I'll cook. Silence on the other end. Then, of course, son, of course I want to. What time? Midday. I'll be there. Dylan hung up and felt a relief he hadn't expected, as if he had finally done something he should have done a long time ago. Sunday noon. The doorbell rang. Dylan opened the door. His father was there, wearing a dress shirt, his hair combed. He had dressed up, as if this lunch was special. Hi, son. Hi, Dad. Come in. They hugged, and Dylan felt something he hadn't felt in years. Longing. He missed his own father, even though they lived in the same city. They had lunch, they talked, about everything, about nothing. The father told stories from when Dylan was a child. Dylan talked about the project, about Jessica, about the changes he was making. And for the first time in years, Dylan was completely present. No cell phone, no rush, just there, with his father. When his father left at the end of the afternoon, he said, Dylan, thank you for today. I missed this. Me too, Dad. And we'll do it again. I promise. But this time it wasn't an empty promise, it was a commitment. Chapter 11. 3 months later. Dylan was sitting in front of the computer. It wasn't 9 p.m., it was 7 a.m. He had woken up early. The app was 60% complete. It had gone from being just an idea in his head to functional code. He weighed 88 kilos. I had lost 7 because I had started training every day. First 1 push-up, then 5, then 10. And now he trained 30 minutes a day, effortlessly. Jessica was in the kitchen making coffee. She looked at him and smiled. Because the Dylan she had known at the beginning of their relationship had returned, present, attentive, alive, and his father. Dylan had lunch with him every Sunday, without fail, and he had discovered things about his father that he had never known before. Stories, dreams, regrets, things that would have died with him if Dylan had continued to postpone them. One day Dylan was working on the project when he received a message from a friend he hadn't spoken to in years. Dude, I saw on Instagram that you're building an app, and that you're training, and that you're different. How did you do it? I need to change my life too, but I don't know where to start. Dylan smiled, because he knew exactly what to say. Start small, ridiculously small. Choose one thing, just one, and do it every day, even if it's just for 2 minutes. And don't break the streak. And when you stumble, get up the next day, that's all. Just that? That's all. Because real change doesn't come from one perfect day. It comes from 1,000 imperfect days where you chose to act even when you didn't want to. A neuroscientist at Stanford University who studies habit formation explains, "The human brain is an energy-saving machine. It wants to automate behaviors so it doesn't expend energy thinking. When you consistently repeat an action, you create a neural pathway. And the stronger that pathway, the more automatic the behavior. That's why after 60-90 days of doing something every day, you no longer need discipline. The brain has taken control." A researcher at Oxford University studying procrastination discovered, procrastination isn't about laziness, it's about emotional management. People postpone tasks that generate emotional discomfort. And the only way to overcome this is to reduce the discomfort to such a low level that the brain doesn't trigger the fight or flight response. That's why techniques like start for 2 minutes work. They eliminate emotional resistance. And about Ichigo Ichie. A Japanese tea ceremony master explains, "In Japan we say that you never drink the same tea twice. Even if it's with the same person, in the same place, with the same tea, the moment is different. Time has passed. You have changed. The moment has died and another has been born, and when you understand this, you stop postponing. Because you know there is no later. There is only now." But there's one thing nobody tells you about Ichigo Ichie. It's not just about acting in the present. It's about to choose what deserves your gift. Because you can't do everything. And when you try to do everything, you don't do anything right. Dylan discovered this in the 4th month. He was working on the project, training, studying Japanese, spending time with Jessica, visiting his father, working at his job, and he was exhausted. One day, Kenji called him. "Dylan-san, how are you?" "Tired, very tired. I'm doing everything you taught me, but it's tough. You're trying to live all possible lives at the same time. That's not Ichigo Ichie, that's anxiety. But I thought I had to enjoy every moment." "Yes, but you don't enjoy a moment by trying to do 1,000 things in it. You enjoy it by choosing. 1. Being present and completely within the thing. Presence is not about quantity, it's about quality." Kenji continued, "Ichigo Ichie doesn't mean doing everything right now. It means being completely present in what you've chosen to do right now, and letting the rest go." That was liberating for Dylan. He didn't have to do everything. He needed to choose what mattered, and be present in it. Chapter 12. 1 year later. A year after that Sunday at the coffee shop with Kenji, Dylan was sitting in the same place, same table, same green tea for him, same coffee for Dylan. But everything had changed. The app was live. It had 500 users. It wasn't a viral success. But it existed. It was working. It was generating income. Dylan weighed 78 kilos. He trained 5 times a week. Because he enjoyed it. He had proposed to Jessica. She said yes. The wedding is scheduled for 6 months from now. And his father had started smiling again. Because he had his son back. "You did it, Dylan-san," Kenji said. "No, I'm managing to do it. Because I learned that there is no finish line, there is only the journey. And the journey is made of days, one at a time," Kenji smiled. "You learned the most important lesson. Transformation is not an event. It's an endless process. And the process only works if you are present in it." Dylan looked out the window. He saw people passing by on the street, all in a hurry, all looking at their cell phones, all living in the future or the past. Nobody there. And he thought, that's how I used to be. I lived as if the present didn't matter, as if life only began when I achieved my goals. But he had learned, life wasn't about goals, it was about the days, the moments, the small choices, the workout he didn't want to do but did anyway, the line of code you wrote even when you were tired, dinner with Jessica without your cell phone, lunch with your father every Sunday, Ichigo Ichie. Each of those moments had been unique, and he had been present in them. Let me ask you a question. How many moments have you already buried in the "I'll do it later" cemetery? How many workouts did you skip? How many projects did you postpone? How many important conversations did you cut short? How many people did you neglect because there's always tomorrow? And now tell me, how many of those tomorrows have actually arrived? The truth is, you're living as if you have 2 lives, the life you're living now and the life you'll begin when the time is right. But the right time never comes, because you're waiting for perfect conditions, perfect motivation, the perfect moment. And while you wait, life passes by. Moments die, opportunities close, people drift away. Ichigo Ichie. It's not just some romantic philosophy about appreciating cherry blossoms, it's a punch in the face. It's a brutal reminder that you don't have infinite time. This moment, now, it's the only real thing you have. Everything before it is memory. Everything after it is imagination. And if you keep putting it off, you'll wake up in 10 years in the same place with the same regrets, with the same list of things that one day you'll do. But here's the good news. You can change. Today. Right now. This very moment. It doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be now. Choose one thing, the smallest thing possible. So small that you can't make up an excuse. Working on the project? Open the file, 2 minutes. Work out, get dressed, 2 minutes. Want to call someone you love? Dial the number, 2 minutes. And do it today, and tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, not for 365 days, for own today, just today, because it's the only day that exists. And when you stumble, because you will, you don't give up. You just don't stumble 2 days in a row, because stumbling once is human. Stumbling twice is a choice. And remember, you're not building results. You're building identity. You are ceasing to be a person who has dreams and becoming a person who fulfills dreams. And the difference between these two people is not talent. It's not luck. It's daily action. Because in the end, life isn't measured by great achievements. It's measured by small moments, by daily choices, by being present when it matters. Your father won't be here forever. Your son won't be a child forever. Your opportunity won't wait forever. And you won't be young forever. What you have is now this moment. Unique, unrepeatable, Ichigo Ichie. Don't waste it. Now I want to know from you. Comment below. What is it smaller? What action are you going to take today? Don't tell me your complete transformation plan. Don't tell me you're going to revolutionize your life. Tell me just the first thing, the first 2 minutes, the smallest possible action you're going to take today. Could it be? Open the project file, put on your workout clothes, writing the first sentence of that book, dialing the number of someone you love, studying a new word, anything. But it has to be today, and it has to be small. Because when you write here, you're doing two things. First, you're making a public commitment, and public commitment has power. Second, you're taking the first step, and the first step is always the hardest. And if you've watched this far, thank you so much, seriously. This means you're committed, that you're not just another person who consumes content and forgets. You're someone who acts. So act now, not tomorrow. Now, why this moment? It only happens once. Ichigo Ichie. See you in the next video. And remember, be present, walk with honor, follow the path.